To be continued. Welcome to the Liberty UA channel. Today we have Denis Yeliseevich as our guest, a businessman who actively runs a political blog, which I invite you to subscribe to. Denis, hello to you.
Hello.
Please also subscribe to the Liberty UA channel, like our videos, leave comments, and share our videos with your friends. Now let's talk about the events taking place in Geneva. So we know from the news that there isn't much news because right now it's February 17th, 9 p.m. Ukrainian time, and we know that the first round of negotiations has ended. What was discussed is not specifically known. We know one thing: the Russians went there intending to stick to the agreements made in Anchorage. Zelensky was insisting that we absolutely need security guarantees. We currently know that representatives from France and Britain joined them there. They flew in to take part in these negotiations. It's interesting. Why do you think our delegation can't handle this on their own anymore? Will they support us spiritually, morally? Why do they want to join in there?
The Europeans will be present at the unofficial part, meaning after the official part is over, the Europeans will be at the unofficial one. Why? Because unfortunately, Britain has, first of all, a lot of influence here. And secondly, this issue basically concerns the European security architecture. As for what's on the table, it's not about that. It's not about Zelensky wanting security guarantees. The US is ready to provide security guarantees and ratify them for 15 years. Zelensky doesn't want to leave Donbas. He doesn't want to compromise on Donbas, and that's the stumbling block. I'm not expecting any big news from there. There will be more tomorrow. But I want to tell you something else. The situation isn't actually very good because we don't have much time left. If we don't agree now, then there is nothing left to discuss. That's it. We're running out of room to maneuver. After that, it's just war. Whoever survives to the end, and there won't be any politics or discussions anymore. I'm saying this completely seriously right now. Don't think that Zelensky is just showing off or anything. Basically, yeah, negotiations are ending. Next October or November, Trump might say, guys, let's start over. But if Republicans lose the midterm elections, it'll be tough for him. Before then, it will be on his agenda, but by that point, he'll have been in power 2 years with only half a term remaining. And what will be the state of Ukraine's energy sector next fall and winter, you know? And what will people's psychological state be like by the end of this year if things keep going this way? We need to think about all of this. What should we be worried about in a year?
And now Zelensky says that Ukrainians won't let me give Donbas to Putin. How could we properly ask them, well, how? Well, he said the day before that 90% of people don't want elections. They say it's nonsense. And now he's saying that Ukrainians won't allow Donbas to be given away. And where does he get this information from? How can people convey their opinion to the authorities right now?
First of all, I'm not suggesting we give away Donbas, neither you nor anyone in Ukraine. No one is suggesting to give away Donbas. We're talking about withdrawing troops from Donbas and making Donbas a free economic zone together with the Russians to exploit this zone. That's all. This is not giving up Donbas. Moreover, Donbas has already been given up. We're talking about 20% of the territory. Donbas has already been given up, and by whom it was given up, we still don't know. This is... And I want to tell you, you ask, where does he get these numbers from? No, he doesn't get them from anywhere. He claimed that 90% don't want elections in Ukraine, but how can that be? Please tell me, where does he get these numbers from? He just makes up whatever suits him because he knows nothing will happen to him for it. And who in Ukraine will say anything? Here, everyone is kept in line. You sometimes have that political mommy, the blogger, on your channel. The authorities have already come to her, not because of your show, but in general. She's considered radical. I don't follow her, but she seems to speak out radically. Well, you know how it is. While the security services are interested in some blogger, some speaker, in what someone said or expressed their opinion somewhere. At that time, the 2-bedroom apartment was heading to Moscow. And today, through Galushchenko and the court, we see various interesting facts that I will discuss separately on my channel. It's all clear, it's all clear. They need to appoint someone inconvenient, and that person will be labeled a Russian agent or whatever else. Meanwhile, quietly, they want to direct society's attention there, go after him, say nasty things. Right, accuse him of everything. He's the one to blame. Just don't interfere with us robbing the country.
Well, let's also move on to Galushchenko. I wanted to ask you something. Venislavsky stated that before these negotiations, the optimal option would be to reach an agreement along the line of contact. He says that the situation has developed in such a way that both Ukraine and Russia have reached a dead end at the same time. Therefore, to get out of this dead end, the optimal solution is to separate along the line of demarcation. Do you agree with him or not? Both sides, ours and theirs, are equally stuck in a situation that we can't get out of.
But first of all, as always, we can't, well, at least I can't discuss Venislavsky because Venislavsky doesn't speak for himself. This is a person whose job is to go to the press, make various statements, very striking ones that immediately attract attention. I mean, and by him, things are regulated, or rather, the temperature in society is measured. But go ahead and say that the war is eternal. Go ahead and say that the TCC is a Russian psyop, and then go ahead and say that we need something along the line of demarcation. You see, in politics, in modern times, these are all actors, talking heads behind whom there are other people. Venislavsky and others don't represent anything individually. They just hold the status of people's deputies. Regarding the very idea of separating along the line of demarcation, that both sides are at an impasse, yes, both sides are at an impasse. But the question is that Putin will definitely take these 20% in a year or two. Little by little, bit by bit, he will take them. You see, that's the thing. Or maybe he won't take them all at once, but he'll take 70% of the remaining 20%. Will that have a big impact? Tell me. So we will control not 20% of Donbas, but for example, 7% of Donbas over the course of a year or two. How many people will die during that time? Look at the military recruitment centers and mobilization. What will things be like in a year? Will people be shooting each other in the streets? Just see what the country has become. But they'll come out and give you a slogan about helmets. They'll stick the poor athletes on the helmets, those who died, our athletes at the front. They'll draw it, publish it, and say, here, here, focus on this. You don't need to think about the helmet. Just put it on your head and talk about how everything is fine. In reality, this was a pure information operation, carefully planned by special services and carried out precisely according to plan. They knew what this helmet would lead to, they knew there would be a disqualification, and they even set up a foundation for this. Everything is already in place, the Yeliseevich Foundation, which will provide charitable assistance to these very athletes. And someone has already donated millions, that Tatiana, for example. So my question is, do you want to help someone? You know, when there's a specific person, you have their phone number, their details, you know everything, they're in trouble, and you want to help them, so you just go ahead and transfer them the money? No, it was exactly the same for me with the first athletes. From the bottom of my heart, if that's how it's done, to come over and say, you have a terrible misfortune, a tragedy, our government is weak, it can't provide for you, so here's 10 million hryvnias from me, and here's another 5 from me. That's it. So people remembered these athletes only during the Olympics, only after the helmet. That's what we need to talk about. But all of this is arranged to distract attention.
But why did the athlete need this? Because for this athlete, well, it's not easy to reach such a level. The whole family was involved because it starts from childhood, from a very young age. Someone takes them to training, you have to go there, bags, packing, costumes, and it never ends. Why did this person agree to it? I think it's the tremendous effort of more than one generation of that family.
Well, I went through all of this myself, and I know very well what you just said. I can say that in the end, it all comes down to the person. In Ukraine, it's been customary since Soviet times, you see, and it's all because of the communist past. What was the Soviet Union? All the athletes, so to speak, Shabitsky, taking pictures, and then this one, that one. So, sport has always been, in totalitarian countries, sport is always an element of propaganda, a very important element of propaganda. And basically the role of the athlete, you don't judge politics, there's the leader, you take a picture, that's it. For the country, for the motherland, for Stalin. The same thing, and not only during the presidency, it was before, and it's still happening now. We had such an unscrupulous person, Serhiy Bubka, as the head of the International Olympic Committee of Ukraine. I generally knew very well who he was, his views, everything else, his attitude towards Ukraine, and in general, the shady dealings that were going on there. But athletes, after winning a medal, would go take pictures with him. Yes, you may have stolen a bit, but you're the president of the International Olympic Committee, and I need an apartment. Sports are another issue. There are no professional sports in Ukraine, just patronage and propaganda. Here's what Yeliseevich did. He couldn't win a medal. Apparently it was him. I'm not saying he just made this up at home. They chose, it's a chain, a web. They made the choice. So Yeliseevich, who has no chances, who is that? They came up to him and said, look, you have no chance. So do this and that for the sake of the country. You have to do it for the country. You see how terrible this war is. You need to do it for the country. What does the war matter to you here? It's about benefit. You wouldn't have won medals like this. But this way, you'll get a few million more. You'll become popular, make a name for yourself, monetize it, create an Instagram account, or get some advertising. This is how it works. there. I saw in the photo Pinchuk was there, and it all became clear to me right away. I immediately understood how it all works, but people, I always check in such cases. In the comments, some people, like naive children, believed it, faked things, and still don't understand how everything works. They sincerely believe that there was an athlete preparing for the Olympics who just went and put a print on his helmet like that. Of course, I wasn't an Olympian, but I helped friends who were preparing for the Olympics. And I'll tell you, it's months of total, how should I say, detachment from everything. Immersion, complete self-sacrifice. In general, professional sports is self-sacrifice, but this is complete self-sacrifice. And there, you never think about helmets, no matter what. This is exactly what I'm fighting against. Soviet mentality, and chaos in people's minds. In a democratic country, you can't put such an emphasis on sports and fund it from the state budget. Okay, I'll stop, otherwise I'll go off on this professional topic again.
By the way, right now, in this situation, sanctions have been imposed on 10 Russian athletes. It's a pity that athletes, people who have dedicated their lives to sports, and it's not just one generation of a family, but several generations have devoted their lives to sports. And all of this is happening because of politics. It's very unfortunate, but there are also some very good results. For example, Javier Milei, he was a goalkeeper, and then he decided that he needed to work more for the economy. He became president and led the country out of crisis, showing positives can emerge from tough times. I would like you to comment on why is he saying this? What is his point? He says that there should be more sanctions on Russia. Despite the fact that we are now seeking peace and contact with them, our unity and strength will put an end to this war. How should we understand this, and why is he saying it? What unity or me?
Well, first of all, you said that you feel sorry for those athletes. I don't feel sorry for Russian athletes who are under sanctions. They're just playing along with Putin. They made their own choice or participated, so I don't feel sorry for them. As for Shibiha, well, no one there either. They're just broadcasting the agenda, serving the regime, serving the current situation. I haven't seen anything smart from him. I haven't seen anything smart from him. I haven't heard anything smart from him. I imagine a diplomat differently.
You're reacting to the fact that Medinsky is present among the diplomats, and what other information do we know that Budanov supposedly feels that the window of such opportunities will close and that we need to lean toward these negotiations? And that's exactly what the media are reporting, right? And the other side of the Ukrainian delegation, which leans toward Yermak, is against it, while Zelensky is balancing at this time. How can you comment on the actions of the Ukrainian delegation? Who is from Yermak's side? Whose interests do they represent, and what does Zelensky balancing mean?
I just discussed this topic before you. I had a Canadian radio broadcast about it. Well, first of all, I know for sure two last names from the central delegations who understand that to end the war, a compromise is needed. They don't want to give anything up, but know there's no better option now, so they're ready. Zelensky isn't. Sibiha is from Yermak's group. Zelensky isn't balancing between points of view. Look, let's think about it this way. How can the head of state not have a clear vision or opinion on such an important issue? I mean, I understand if I were president, or looking at any other country's president, he should have his own opinion and point of view on everything. How is it that after 4 years, the president is still sitting and thinking about whether to end the war or not? Everything is obvious. How can you do that? A delegation, you see, it's kind of, how can I put this? It's like putting together a team for business, but not giving them any task. Basically, you come to work, everyone does their own thing, but somehow nobody needs to make money. So where is it? What is that supposed to be? That's how the state functions, and that's very good. It's not balance, it's balance. He's ready to go one way or the other if it guarantees him power. If tomorrow there's a format that guarantees him power, and at the same time, he needs to go for a truce, hold elections that he will definitely win. He'll say, no war, elections, democracy, I'm running for office. If tomorrow that opportunity isn't there, he'll say, what elections, we're at war, 90% are against it. Just like he said to that politician in Munich during the interview. That's exactly how everything works, just as it is. And I still don't understand how it's possible to negotiate. Look, a negotiation group, just technically, a negotiation group is created. Any group on any issue where everyone works toward a specific result. Well, for example, go to Geneva, twist their arms for the best possible terms, but don't cross Trump's red line so he doesn't freak out and walk away from the negotiations. But we're ready, but we need to push for the best possible terms. I welcome that. I would do the same myself, but if some are for it and some are against it, what is that supposed to mean? How does that work? Yermak? The Economist writes, listen, Yermak has influence all over the world. I know that. It's a fact. I confirm it.
Well,
Think about it. The whole world is like that. So wait, there's corruption there for $114 million. They caught the thieves red-handed. And here he influences something. And here he rides around Kiev with security, runs the country. Diplomats and ministers come to bow to him again. And they'll come out and say to you, what? What? Aren't you a patriot? Why are you discussing this? Go donate for Yeliseevich's helmet. Don't discuss things that aren't your business. We know better how to handle it ourselves.
the situation is just unclear. What do you think about these negotiations? So we've reached a point where it's unclear what goals the Ukrainian delegation has, since you're balancing between Yermak and others. It's organized, so to speak, under the cover of those negotiations that the same American negotiation group organized regarding Iran. Did they really approach this with all due diligence? Because we know that before Ukraine, the Iranians were present there. They were resolving their own issues regarding nuclear weapons. No.
And in no way does it interfere. Trump is not using classic diplomacy right now. Neither Witkoff nor Kushner are diplomats. They're just people from the business world who are great at negotiating, not by the book, but through practice, you see, not by the laws of diplomacy. No, they stick to protocol there, that's clear, the boundaries of decency, but they don't act like professional politicians, they act like pragmatists, businessmen. The world has changed, and people like that are needed everywhere, as you can see. The sacred cow, studying for a long time. That's how everything is. And only then, maybe it doesn't work. Trump trusts them. They have the necessary experience. They get things done. Look, you said it yourself, how? And do you think the situation with Iran is an easy one? It's a very complicated situation. We're talking about nuclear weapons, about a dictatorship, about an extensive terrorist network. Let's put it that way. A state with officially anti-Semitic rhetoric. They talked there. Picture them switching topics, suddenly discussing Ukraine. That's how efficient people work. Nothing slows them down. Now everything is clear to us. It's not only in our hands. There's also Putin who will be involved. But I want to get to the point where Ukraine will truly agree to peace, and then we'll see who will stand in our way. We will discuss and reason together and do whatever you want.
Let's go back to this Donbas issue, because this question just won't let us rest. They are demanding that we withdraw our troops from Donbas. If it's the spirit of Anchorage, then it was proposed, but we don't really know what was discussed. We only remember what Reuters wrote. They said that the Russians would withdraw their troops from other regions. So if this spirit of Anchorage is present, is this still being discussed today or not?
From what I know, it's about the withdrawal of troops from Donbas. And in general, the Russians are withdrawing from Kharkiv region, Sumy region, and in Kherson and Zaporizhzhia, they separate along the current line of demarcation. That's how it is there right now, as far as I know.
And what if we don't do this? Right now, we see that the situation in Pokrovsk and Mirnohrad is very difficult. And there, the Russian troops will be freed up. They will already become available. Once they capture these territories, there will be even more of these professional Russian soldiers. And where do you think they will go?
They will keep fighting. They will keep fighting. New operations will be planned. And Russia will do the same thing it is doing now. Keep advancing. What other options are there? But I want to tell you something else. But think about it. We are talking with you now in the middle of February. And if an agreement can't be reached, peace talks are disrupted and nothing is happening. So what will we be discussing in June? Well, I mean, where do we have room to maneuver? Right now we're discussing things. Maybe this, maybe that. This one is negotiating. That one is helping. Someone arrived, someone left. The delegation is official. The negotiations are not. And when they're not happening, what's left to discuss? It's just a terrible war. Who will win? And people will keep dying and suffering, while Europeans will tell fairy tales and shout slogans. God, how you're not the main ones there. Everything else, the world has gone crazy. I'm telling you for sure, no one feels sorry for people. That's how I see it all. I never thought we were civilized people. Evolution has already happened. The world has seen so many terrible things, and today Ukrainians are dying like this in a humanitarian catastrophe, while Europe lives in peace. They even encourage us. It's expected from Putin. But how can Western civilization act this way?
But let's remember Merz, we mentioned this civilization. So Merz spoke in Munich, and what did he say? That we must fight, right? We must. To fight until Russia is weakened. Today, the German foreign minister is speaking. And he says that we won't give you Patriot missile systems which are made in America because we don't have them. He goes on to say, we've already given you a third of everything we had in our warehouses. In this situation, the country gave everything it had and continues to finance the lion's share of the aid that Kiev receives. We gave everything we had, everything. So if we don't get these Patriots, well, Merz says to keep fighting, but they won't give us Patriots and neither will the Americans, then what are we supposed to do next?
This is really an important topic, and here I want to address our viewers, as I often do. You need to read the news carefully, very carefully. When our propagandists tell you that if America does something, that's it, goodbye. Let Trump leave. Europe will finance us, provide us with everything in Europe. No, first we take it from Zelensky. Every video address is about air defense, air defense, air defense missiles. There are none in Europe, that's the plain truth. There are simply no air defense missiles in Europe. For Patriot systems, they have a few, and no one will give up their last ones. Everyone keeps them just in case. So the conclusion is we need to remove the Patriots and install other air defense systems, which are definitely much worse. There are definitely Patriots in Europe. They're excellent in specific cases. France has them. Who will give it, and will they give enough to cover all of Ukraine? Well, maybe they'll give 3 batteries, maybe 4 somehow, maybe, and they'll regularly supply them with missiles. Who said that? Who promised that? Who came out and said, yes, we'll provide everything for everyone, we'll handle it ourselves right now, name the case, and they immediately back down. Then the chancellor comes out and says, let's go to war, Russia will collapse soon, they don't want peace. Then the defense minister comes out and says, we won't give anything. No, they're not like those, what do they call them, Oris, with the German ones. So we won't give those for air defense. What are we talking about here? And people should read the news carefully, use their brains. Stop. Let's figure it out. Does it work or not? Without the US, Ukraine is done for. Without the US, Europe is done for. Survival is only possible if everyone is together. But not in the way that we're just going to use you, like you're our protective shield, our bulletproof vest. No, we have our own interests. We love everyone, we respect everyone, and we're ready to trade with everyone. Come visit us without a visa, and we'll visit you, but we have our own interests, and our interest is definitely not war. We have a crazy neighbor, and we need to, there's no secret here, figure out how to live next to him so that he can live however he wants over there, but doesn't attack us. When you come out and insult with every other word, how can that be? I was just listening to Zelensky. The whole world is watching as Russia bombs us during such important negotiations. But yesterday, several hundred drones were launched at Russia, and we...
It turns out
Putin bombs, he's bad, we bomb, we're good. No, there's a war going on, of course they're going to bomb. And if we could bomb in the same terrible way, we would bomb exactly the same. It's a war, and that's the truth. I really don't like this, I'm against it, you know. I've been speaking out for years. Well, that's just the truth, but for the lemmings, you have to go out and tell some nonsense. He says, Tatiana, he says in his speech, I gave the diplomats an assignment, and I'm here waiting like to achieve peace talks, peace. But you know what he says? Missiles for long-range air defense. What does that mean?
regarding this, Deputy Minister of Energy of Ukraine, Anatoly Kutsevol, and American senators visited the sites that were attacked by the Russians, the thermal power plant. Why exactly? Because they understand that they need to be restored, money is needed, but it's unclear where to get it. Those 90 billion that America gives, not America, but Europe, are also questionable, because it seems like this money is supposed to last for 2 years on the very same day. That we already had that money and invested it in restoring the energy system. Now, Europe and America need to provide 150 million euros. Because if that doesn't happen, then there's no way to restore the system. And if it's not restored by May, then next year. People won't have electricity and heat, just like now. There will only be a few hours of electricity a day. Look.
Everyone was happy there. 90 billion euros were given, but today it turns out, I told you this doesn't solve anything. Today it turns out they need another 150 million. Do you know why? Because the cost of the war in Ukraine today, for Ukraine, is $100 billion a year. In the first years, it cost 80 billion, now it's gone up, it costs 100 billion a year. 100 billion a year. Think about it. That's $1/10 of $1 trillion. These are astronomical numbers. Focused on war, not prosperity, reforms, transition, or progress. Just thrown into conflict. And give another 150. The conclusion is we can't keep financing the war like this anymore. There's no money, we can't fight. And we're being offered a very bad end to the war, but one that will allow Ukraine to survive and have a chance to prosper. You see, when you continue the war, there are definitely no good prospects. People will definitely die if the war goes on. But if it stops, people definitely won't die. For some, that's not an argument. I'm telling you, $100 billion, and where do we get them? And now it's already the thermal power plants, 150. You know that yesterday's shelling from Russia won't be the last. Now the cold is returning, and in Kiev and Ukraine it will drop to minus 15 or 17 at night. Putin will strike 2 or 3 more times, possibly again in summer. Or Russia might pause for half a year while someone else attacks and they keep building drones, launching them endlessly. We have air defense problems, and they will exploit this. What's the reasoning? There's a significant difference here. I'm saying unpleasant things because reality is bad and I don't like it, but that's how it is. Meanwhile, these people are just making up fantasies. Just like this Kostenko comes in and starts talking, we can put it out there, and then it all starts for us. 300 trillion, 250 planes, 1 million volunteers. No excuses. Tell me now, how will you do it? That's the key difference. And here I have to turn to the people. Until people themselves want it, proposals from the real world, real chances for success, people like Kostenko will keep thriving.
It's DTEC, it's a private organization that supplies Ukraine with electricity. So they say they need 150 million euros from Europe and America. What do you think? How can private organizations that provide services to Ukrainians avoid asking Americans and Europeans for money? How can we ask Americans for money when they say, end the war or we won't give you more, and we respond that without it, we'll lose electricity? It's a sad situation.
DTK, you're right, it's private. I fully support privatization. Some people might say, see, that's how private owners act, but it's not about being private, it's about monopoly. DTEC is a monopolist. But imagine if there were 3 companies providing energy services, there would be competition and people would understand. I'm just telling you, modeling the situation, imagine that everything in Ukraine is privatized. Well, the war wouldn't have happened in that scenario. But let's say it did, and there are 3 energy supply operators and Putin is bombing and 2 operators, people are left without power. But the third one, let's say, is providing everything, repairing everything. Everything is working for them. And people look and ask, why do we need the others? We switch to the one who does everything, who has the money, who has, in short, the resources. We don't care how we pay the money. We want to get everything, even during the war. That's how the market works. On one hand, it's understandable because these are unforeseen circumstances. The country is being bombed. As we like to say, it's a strategic enterprise, even if it's private. Well, this is the pinnacle of a dysfunctional state. I mean, a state that's set up the wrong way, everything is upside down. But I know that, believe me, DTEC, Renat Leonidovich, won't work at a loss. Just trust me, everything is fine there. And they all know what they're doing and how they're doing it. I'm not blaming him, he's a businessman, and making money is their goal. No questions, I have a state matter, I have a state matter.
The thing is, they will raise the rates for people, but we are not guaranteed that the money won't be stolen again. So Halushchenko wanted to leave the country. He says he didn't want to. That's just how it happened. Then they told him, is that what you're saying? Yes, he was accidentally going to visit his children and wife. He needs to pay 400 million. He needs to pay 100. He says he doesn't have that kind of money. It's way too much. When the judge asked him how much he was willing to pay, he said, well, 20 to 30 million, 20 to 30 million. A minister could have that kind of money if there was no corruption. An official, you could say an official, a reserve of 20 to 30 million.
Nonsense. They could have, if not, no, they couldn't. If he were honest, he couldn't have. And look, he has 400. There are people backing him who would have put up 400, but now it's down to 200. You know, right, the court set bail at $5 million, 4 and something, huge money. And he's so poor, well, $500,000, well, I'd put up 1,800. This whole situation shows that everything is going wrong. And as I already said, everything is set up wrong. It's all on the surface. You don't have to be very smart to see it. We were just told recently that electricity should be 8 hryvnias 50 kopecks per kilowatt, well, for people, for residential consumers, 116. And then everything might, but not for sure, be fine, but 2 billion went to Moscow. The state enterprise Energodom, 2 billion left. The minister is on trial, just think about it. People are left without electricity, and our energy minister is on trial. Well, the former energy minister.
Which one was it? Has any minister of justice ever been held accountable for justice in Ukraine before this?
Yes.
Yes, before, in 2014?
And now look, even here, Today you're a law specialist. Tomorrow you're already an energy expert, like Fyodorov. One day he's an IT guy, today he's already in defense. Well, you see, it just couldn't be more obvious. It just couldn't be more obvious. This whole system is self-destructing, and sooner or later it will destroy itself, though, unfortunately, together with Ukraine. And these leeches individually have been sucking all the life out of Ukraine and continue to do so. I just want to urge you once again to think, remember all the wars. Let's not even go as far back as World War II. The most recent war was in Israel. Can you imagine Israel being left without electricity and at the same time some minister is being put on trial? It's just impossible to imagine. It just doesn't make sense. But here, it's considered normal, and people, if they see it this way, if that's how it happened, then just direct all your negativity here. No, now they're gonna go, look for enemies on the planet. And why not in Ukrainian? Why aren't you praying the right way? Why don't you like that person? You're pro-Russian, Russian scum, and on it goes.
Fox News described today's situation with Halushchenko and called him an ally of Zelensky. An ally, that's exactly what they wrote. An ally. Zelensky was detained while trying to escape from Ukraine. Why do you think only he was served a notice of suspicion? And why so late? That MFA operation happened ages ago, and it's been 3 months since. Why was he only served this notice of suspicion now? And why do they supposedly want to hold him accountable only now? If Zelensky is an ally, then what should happen next?
Subtitles? Well, let's start from the beginning. As you said, it started with Fox News. You could have written that. No, you wrote that it's the right wing of Fox News. These are Trump sympathizers. They wrote Zelensky's ally, clearly, plainly, and unambiguously translated as Zelensky's ally. This is a signal to the international community. Zelensky's man is a thief, so we can suspect Zelensky of being a thief too, can't we? Americans are now reading this, knowing that hundreds of billions of their money have gone to Ukraine. Do you think they'll love Ukraine? What bothers me is they'll blame Ukraine for it. They don't hate Zelensky, but they'll say Ukraine is a dump, it robbed us. Why should they care about Ukraine? They're focused on America's issues, which makes sense. But you call this a signal and say it's delayed. Yes, it's delayed. But the next one, maybe, Yermak is next in line, and maybe even this month or at the beginning of next month. It's a very real scenario. Nabu is taking action. I see a pattern in this. I notice when something stalls in negotiations, when someone needs to be pushed. That's how I see it. Others, however, believe Zelensky made a deal with them. Well, I mean, time will tell. But Fox News isn't writing all this for nothing.
If, when something goes wrong at the negotiations and we see things like what happened with Halushchenko, then such a question arises. Nabu and Sapo, who do these institutions answer to? Are these independent institutions accountable to our government, to Europeans, to Americans, to whom?
They definitely don't answer to our government, although many suspect there are some behind-the-scenes agreements. Nabu is subordinate to the FBI, the American one, that's for sure.
Those auditors who came to Ukraine from America to investigate where Ukrainians spent the money that Americans gave both in cash and non-cash back in November still haven't provided us with any information. Why do you think that is?
Everything is known. The FBI has everything. Peace negotiations are underway. The situation is very complicated. And Putin is behaving badly. And Zelensky is also behaving badly. Trump doesn't have to openly choose sides. When the time is right, the right strings will be pulled. We all want things to progress faster. Both I and you and society, at least its reasonable part, would like that too. Unfortunately, such things are done in measured doses at the right time, just when it's necessary. They will be done if everything goes as it should. That's just how the world works.
Zelensky is trying, he says there will be some purges in the SBU. Who do you think will be purged and for what? Who didn't fulfill something or over-fulfilled it? What is this connected to?
Well, when I read this, the first thing I did was a kind of self-check. And can Zelensky remove people from the SBU who are for Ukraine's interests, maybe? Those in the SBU who are against him, no, he can't. So there's your answer. You don't really believe it could be the other way around, that a person is against Ukraine there in the SBU and Zelensky is like, okay, I need to remove you. No, I think now they'll force them. Right now, he's in a period where he can only rely on force. He needs to rely on force, on the security forces, on the special services, to intimidate and scare everyone, because he can only govern through force. Right now, the SBU structure is not homogeneous. Many people there don't like him, and many don't like what's happening. Not everyone, of course, but many. And everyone understands perfectly well. And apparently, together with Poklad, he gave Poklad the task. Let's just kick out everyone who doesn't swear loyalty in blood and bring in those who will.
And to sum up what we heard in Munich, because they were talking about, they gave us an award. We have to fight, and we can already see in practice that neither weapons nor money will be given to us properly. They will give us slogans, like the one who said that there should be fewer people, fewer soldiers in Ukraine. Well, let it be the same in Russia. But she didn't say how to do it, only slogans. And tomorrow, if the negotiations don't end with anything logical, then what next?
They won't accomplish anything tomorrow, I'm telling you. The main thing is they don't stop completely. For now, nothing will come of it. God willing, some progress. Regarding the Europeans, I don't want to repeat myself. I discussed this emotionally on another broadcast today. But I can tell you, I'm afraid for the world that our country is suffering so much, people are suffering so much, and they just keep making loud slogans, such hypocrisy, always smiling. Do they even understand the conditions Ukraine is living in, our people? Do they even understand the damage to our country, the damage that has been done to our country? Do they know what it's like to go days without electricity or heat under rockets and drones? Do they understand what it's like to be at war for 4 years in the center of Europe in our times when people are enjoying entertainment, flying, doing whatever they want, fulfilling themselves with all these technologies? This is not normal. And does she understand that the younger generation is no longer studying? 4 years. During the war and the prior pandemic, 6 years total, people haven't been studying, education suffered, but that's minor compared to everything else. Let them consider that. Does she realize how many young people left Ukraine? They don't care about it. And here I say, I'm surprised, but at least one person should go to Europe and say, guys, this is wrong, these are real people, this is a corrupt country, it's bad, it's this and that. That's a secondary matter. They are real people suffering and dying in pain. Let's stop this. No, you just say slogans, 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 pretty words, and create this kind of situation. You don't like it, well, then you're for Putin. It's that simple.
Thank you very much for this conversation. We continue to believe in better things. We hope we wait for the results of these negotiations and what happens next. Please subscribe, dear viewers, to Dennis Yeliseevich's channel and subscribe to Liberty UA. Thank you for being with us. Until next time, thank you.